Leo, Sophia, good to see you both. Welcome to Popternative.
Thank you.
It's good to be here. Hi.
Super excited to chat with you both about Lynley, BritBox. So excited. Sophia, I want to ask, because every time you work on something that has original source material, you can kind of use it as a textbook, right? Or you can kind of throw it away a little bit. So what was your relationship like, given that we've seen kind of these characters before in Lynley before this series?
I love your metaphors of throwing it away or textbooking it. And I feel like I did both. Like I hugged it very close to me and then didn't look at it. So if it was a textbook, I didn't throw it, but I like kept it here. Meaning I was aware of the show and of the books kind of growing up, but I hadn't actually watched it. When I got the audition, it was very clear that Steve Thompson, our writer, who is super brilliant, he had set up a whole new kind of version of not just Lynley and Havers, but also a really different version of the world they inhabit and how that looks. So I kept it very much close to what my instincts would be. And then once I got the role, I watched the first episode of Great Deliverance, and I just fell in love with Sharon's performance. I saw why everyone fell in love with Nat Parker, and I thought, God, they're so brilliant. Okay, I can't watch any more of this because then I'm just gonna try and imitate them and that won't work. So I revered them, but I made sure to step and do our own thing with it.
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like there's always that ping pong match, right? Of like, you want to do the original source material like justice, but like it's its new thing. There could be a podcast series on that. Like, I don't know, like a debate and everything.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Leo, good to see you again, man.
Good to see you too. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been a while.
It has been a while. And, it's interesting to think about, right? Because, there's a lot of genres of content these days that have been around for a while, and the wheel has not really been reinvented, that are very kind of popular right now compared to 10 years ago, like horror movies, crime dramas. Do you think about that? Like working in a genre crime drama where like the popularity is heightened? Do you ever think about that? Because I find that interesting.
Yeah, man. I think we were talking about it earlier, actually, in that I think crime drama has always been popular. It's such a tried and tested format in books, in movies, in TV shows.
Podcasts.
Exactly. Add that to the mix. So, yeah, and I've not done the genre before. So it was very cool to sort of know what I was getting into. I'm getting into a meaty police procedural crime drama. So that was good fun. I have not played a detective before. And to your point about the source material, there's a lot of lines to learn, man. I didn't have the time to go back and read the books or see the shows, because once we got up and running, it was non-stop. And the detective inspector and the detective sergeant have a lot of long words and names and procedure to get through. So that was actually a fun part of the job. But yes, it's all consuming in a great way.
Absolutely. Sophia, my next question is actually kind of to continue on what Leo just said about the detective component of it. I know from an audience, from a actor perspective, you try not to do this. And maybe when you're doing specific scenes where it's very serious, you're thinking about your character, but maybe kind of at Video Village or at lunch. Are you ever conscious of the audience member watching Lynley while you're making it? Or does that happen a little bit after you wrap production, so to speak?
Do you know what's fun is that I loved working. One of the reasons, there's lots of reasons I loved working with Leo, but one of the amazing things about working with him, because he's done, a big Netflix show before, is that he really gets off of also the fact that there are red herrings in the script and the audience isn't going to know, hopefully, are we misdirecting them? Is this really the bad guy? Is there more than one bad guy? Is the you know what I mean? Like that thread of that narrative is something that was really fun to play with. And it was great working with Leo, because he'd be like, oh yeah, because at this point they won't know that this is the bad guy and stuff. So he really, his natural joy for it, like brought it out in me, I would say. And he's a super intellect, as is the character of Lynley. So it's really fun to work with people like that. As for how much you're thinking of the audience, it's funny because as an actor, you have so much prep work you do, I guess, for the viewer's benefit. But in the minute the cameras roll, to use your textbook again, everything you learn, you got to chuck, and you got to just be there in the moment and work with the actors around you, because we were so lucky. The cast of the show up and down are incredible. And when you have amazing actors and a great director and an incredible crew, you're sort of like a kid in a candy store. You're just like, oh my God, I'm so lucky. I've got all these elements to play with.
Yeah.
You just have to be alive in the moment and hope that that's going to be the thing the viewers take away, you know?
No, absolutely. Leo, it's interesting to kind of add to that. I'm curious about this because, you know, I'm a filmmaker as well. And like before, you know, we got into kind of being creatives and storytellers and filmmakers, we were all like, we were viewers of TV and film, right? Like that's how it all started, right? We always had that first movie or show that got us inspired to work. I don't know about you, Leo, but like, do you feel like you watch things a lot differently now, perspective-wise, now that you're like making it and know kind of what happens compared to where you were? Because I think about that. The movies that I liked when I was a kid, maybe I think about them a bit differently now because I'm making them. It's interesting, right?
God's honest truth. Yes, sadly. Once you've seen how the sausages are made, they don't taste quite as good. So yeah, I do. That does. Whenever I'm watching a show or a film, that is slightly in the back of my head. And that's maybe a good metric for when something's really good.
Yes.
Is that when you can forget about that and be
That's where I was going with. We're on the same page, man. That's where I was going with it because you kind of have that ability to kind of scope it out, right? And be like, yep, like I was there. That's what it is. I can't even imagine like with Vikings Valhalla, just those fight scenes just give me panic attacks.
Well, one of the nice sort of crossovers of Vikings and this was that we filmed in Ireland, so we were filming in the same fields, and where we tore down London Bridge and had Viking funerals and whatnot. Sofia and I were running through the mud, arresting gardeners. So there's funny moments of, oh my God, I swear I've been here before at 4 a.m.
Yeah.
Mud feels familiar.
Bare-chested and wielding an axe.
Absolutely.
But yeah.
No, for sure. It's crazy to think about. I didn't think about the Ireland thing. That's very interesting. On BritBox, September 4th, Lynley. I can't wait for people to check that out. You both are fantastic in the series. Congratulations. Sofia, Leo, good to see you both again. Good to see you both. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate it.
Really nice
Cheers,
to meet
man.
you.
All the best.
Thank you for tuning in to Popternative. Make sure to check out our past episodes of Popternative on YouTube.
This has been an Autograph Communications production.